Stopwatch. Good afternoon, everybody. It's absolutely fantastic to be here, and I'm just here to represent the rust and the rock, the wet rock and the rust. So my name is Pete Mesley. I'm basically been a full-time diver, instructor trainer. I take trips all around the world. I do film jobs, I do film safety work, etc., etc. Anything that can pay the bills, which has got to do with the underwater world. And I'm going to talk today about something that really keeps the spark going in me, and that's the photography that I'm really interested in. I've been taking pictures for 2.5 decades, and all fair dues to macro people, there's only so many nudie-brain shots that you can take, right? So I started getting into photography because I was never any good at collecting artifacts of the wrecks in the UK where I learned to dive. And I ended up getting invited on a lot more trips, seeing that I was never any good at it, and plus I'd be able to take some pictures. So after a number of years, my photographic wants and needs and all the rest of it started to develop, and I had the thought in my mind, I'm saying, wouldn't it be cool to be able to go into an area at the point of my life, it was mainly wrecks, and I'd say, how cool would it be if we can light up this whole expansive area so that we can get a really good idea of just exactly where we are in, and that's what I've been focusing on for the last 20 years. So hopefully I'm pushing the right button, and so this is kind of inspiring me over the years. So lighting up large areas and to try and see how to get the most out of each image. And you kind of get the point by now, right? Okay. So the first attempts that I was taking, and you can obviously see over the years where what I was doing is how I do it is I set up the camera without any strobes or without any lights. We'll talk a little bit later if anyone's keen or interested to see about exactly how I do it. But basically, I'm setting up the camera on a tripod, a custom-made graphite tripod, and first of all, I've got to find the frame. I've got to figure out what is going to be the most pleasing image, and I set the camera up. I set it on a very long time exposure, and I basically swim around in the darkness and lighting up the areas. So obviously, you can start seeing areas here where my diving skills aren't that particularly good, and you'll start seeing little puffs and all the rest of it of stuff. So unfortunately also I don't have a big repertoire of people wanting to come model for me, so I ended up having to do the modeling myself. So if anyone's interested or keen to come and be my model, this will actually save me a lot of grief. And again, you'll start seeing, again, all I wanted to do is I just wanted to see, okay, look, I want to light up some large areas, and at this stage here, they're all been mainly shipwrecks. Now, where did it all begin? So I've been wanting to take this picture for about 5 years, and this wreck here is a wreck called the Kensho Maru, and the Kensho is an absolute, sorry, my apologies, this is a Nippo Maru. And when I first got to see this image, in my mind, this is what I wanted to take. But it took me 5 years to take that shot, because then, like now, as soon as I'd set the camera up, because the setup takes the longest time, because you've got to be just very, very careful about how you position things, because then if you just carelessly kick up any silt or anything like that, then the image is destroyed. And so many times in this image here, I'd get set up, and then there'd be 5 or 6 divers which would come in through these entryways, and then obviously the silt would just billow out, and that would be the end of the shot. And again, also, what this photography did for me was, because I'm involved in the diving industry, I'm permanently and all the rest of it, I needed a little bit of my personal time to spend on my little projects. And so as it developed, so you can, again, this is a shot of another deep wreck called the Amagasan, and you can see my earlier shots, because then what I try to do is try and eliminate where the light source comes from. So these earlier shots, you can see the actual light itself. So I was focused on to try and light up some areas where you're not going to see the source of the light. So this is the shot of the Nipo Maru, but in the opposite way. So, and again, what I'd be doing is I'd dedicate my whole dive to one image, okay? Because then like now I'm saying, look, okay, I've got lots of the general sort of like diver in shots, all the rest of it, which we've all got lots of those. But before I carry on, how many photographers do we have in the room here? All right, Mitchell, you can put your hand down right now. So we got quite a few, right? And so that's hopefully you'll get something out of this. So and again, this is the sister ship to the Nipo. So all these different areas. So like now, if you also notice, there's an awful lot of particulate in the water. Now. Simon and me dive together quite often, and as it happens, I have to be an extreme expert in light angling, and because of the fact that after Simon goes through an area, he just destroys it completely. Now, I'm only joking. He's actually he's a very good diver. But also, the fact is that in areas of very, very low visibility, just angling the light can make all the difference in the world, and that's why I don't have onboard strobes and I don't have offboard slave strobes, because then the slaves have to be ignited and activated by the onboard stuff. And there's just another shot. See the earlier stuff there of the Shinkoku Maru, but again, like now, you start to have a look. So you can have a lot of fun with light, and but again, also. Just making sure that your skill levels are as good as they can be, because a lot of the time when we're going through very restrictive areas and angling lights and all the rest of it for some nice results, you've got to come back again, and every time you do that, you're obviously causing some sort of disturbance. The other bit of fun too is adding ambient light into your images and choosing the frames of the images, and then, because at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're controlling the amount of light in completely dark environments. So that also creates a little bit more challenge in the fact that you just sort of say, okay, look, I want to light up these areas here and just show a little bit of expanse, but at the same time, I'm showing a little bit of ambient. This is the wreck of the Nagato in Bikini. And again, the big thing here is just showing a little bit of color, a little bit of definition. And these are the guns of Audacious. And again, what I've dedicated and I've focused on doing is that I'm never going to see the whole wreck. So I'd rather get one or two images which are going to be pleasing for me to do. This is a wreck called the Taipo up in the Great Lakes in the US, and I run trips over there annually. I'm going to be restarting again in 25, and these are just incredible 158-year-old schooners just sitting bolt up on the floor, on the ground. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible. Also, what we can do is this is not the cool thing about long time exposures is that you set your camera up, and then like now you can really have a lot of fun properly lighting it, because then like now all these deep oranges and sponges and all the rest of it are properly illuminated. Now we can try and use offboard strobes, but again it's just the technique that I use is not doing that. Wreck here, the Gunilda, which is in 80 meters of water in the Great Lakes, in Lake Superior. It's just trying to get, but trying not to show. Again, we could set up some lights on the post here, but I just don't really want people to see where the light source is coming from. Same thing here, audacious bow. And on the port side of Audacious up in Malin Head in Northern Ireland. So obviously, what about wet rocks? What about caves? Well, the principle is still the same. So I thought I'd better go and get some training. And this amazing human being did my course in 2017, Jill Heineth, and it's probably some of the best training that I've ever done, because she says, look, how far do you want me to take you? How far do you want me to push? And I said, look, the safe word is mummy, all right? So you just keep on pushing me until I give you the safe word. And we had a lot of fun. And then at the end of my cave course, I just had some fun in a place called Peacock Springs. And this is only really 300 or 400 meters into the cave. So after I finished the program, I asked a young girl to buddy up with me, and I said, look, just say, look, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm going to apologize, because I'm not going to go far, and I'm just going to be doing some of this photography. And she says, well, she's been diving in this cave over 300 times, and she says that she's never seen the cave as it is. So what is really good to see is that back in the day, people would have these big, strong pencil light beam light torches, and then they would basically go into the cave, exploring all the rest of it. But they would miss so much. Like now, it's great to see nowadays more and more people are using wide beam, high output lights, which will just give you a much better sense of exactly where you're going. And technology is really coming into its own itself here. I've just recently bought a 360 camera, and that's, I think that's quite a lot of fun in terms of gathering data all the way around you constantly, which is pretty cool. The cool thing also about long exposure imagery is the fact that the detail it's probably a little bit hard to see, even though this is a beautiful big screen. But the sense of detail is so crisp and clear once you look at these images. So this is a site in Mexico called Nariz in Tulum, and again, like now, is that what I would do is most of the time you're going around there, you could see like the main line is there. There's a permanent line there, and you just have to figure out what is going to be the best frame. So all I just do is I own a lot of lights, but I've whittled it down to 4 lights. So I take 4 15K big blue lights, and they've got massive ones. They've got 30,000 lumen lights, but I just found them to be too heavy. So if you place a light down, then you adjust. So I'm on the breather here, so we've got to be extremely careful. In fact, if you even see like here, there's like this puff, this tuft of silt here, and it took me 45 minutes to rig up my tripod, and it was just one careless fin stroke, and just this puff of silt, because you can see it's like talcum powder on the bottom there. And so I went around and lit the place up and all the rest of it, and then I thought, oh, here we go, So that's what that is there. This is basically the opposite side. So I look and go, oh, this looks cool, and then I'm just basically focusing on lighting up these areas. So the cool thing also is that you can get so many different effects, because what I'm doing is I'm taking, so I rig up my camera, find the frame, and I set my camera up on an intervalometer. Okay, so I set the camera to automatically take a picture every second for 30 seconds. And it will keep on doing that, all right? So when I'm swimming around, and I'll light up the area. So like now, I've got to be extremely careful how I hold my lights. If I turn the light towards the camera, I'm just destroyed the image. Now, if I turn the light behind me, I now create a shadow and a silhouette. So a lot of the times, you will see, and I'll point out the faux pas which once you see them, you'll see a lot more of them. But the other thing too is being careful of, you'll start seeing waves of light because you're too slow at painting. So all this it's 99.8% failure. that's kind of what it is. And then, but also in the shallows, we just did this trip to Southeast Sulawesi in a place called Muna, and this is super shallow, so you can see all the like the surface there, all the blurry image there, it's all the surface, and so we obviously there's really have some fun with lighting up areas. So there's a lot of porous rock there, and hence why you can see all the different color temperatures in the image. This is personally one of my favorites. This is in Mexico, and again, like now, I'm starting to understand what I'm doing and all the rest of it. So again, all lighting up this area. This is the cool thing about Mexico is there's no flow, but it's super shallow. This is probably one of the deeper sites, maybe about, I don't know, 15 or 16 meters, but the visibility is just outstanding. So the further you go, then the more time you got to dedicate to light painting and all the rest of it. So there's all sorts of different fun that you can have there. And obviously, that just brings me a bit of joy. So setting up the shot, right? So Richie Barnden, who's an exceptional photographer and a really good guy, he took these shots of me. So this one here is of a place called Chandelier Cave in Palau. Anyone been to Palau? Chandelier Cave? This is kind of the end of the day free rubbish dive that everyone doesn't want to do, but it's pretty cool. All right, so just a few shots of getting set up there. And again, I can't reiterate enough that's all right. I can't reiterate enough how important it is to get the frame. A lot of people tend to start putting down lights and all the rest of it, and then now they're adjusting their frame to suit where they've put the lights. So, and then after the camera's all set up, I set it up with the intervalometer, and off I go painting. And this is the final result of one of the, I think there's 3 of those areas there. So like now, all the different areas there. Just have some fun, and I end up bashing around the place because in large expansive areas, if I'm swimming from A to B, and if there's nothing to light up because it's all over there, I have to switch the lights off, because then you'll just see a trail of just light that you don't want. So if you looked in the dictionary under ergonomic, you will not be seeing me in there, all right? So this is what we've got down to. So I carry my camera, this custom-made tripod. It's actually a window washing carbon fiber extendable pole. I've got 3 of them. One is 10 meters, and these ones here are 5 meters. So the 10-meter one tends to be not used that much. And my lights. So with the lights, again, I choose the 15,000 lumen lights because they're light, or they're a lot lighter than the 30,000, and it also allows me to be able to position and to not have to adjust how I am in the water buoyancy-wise too much, because if you, I think a 30,000 lumen light's about 1 kilogram negative, so that could be a lot of adjustability, because if you, and I'm sure that with the photographers here, if you're using off-board lighting, you place a light down, you better know exactly where you want that light, because every time you go down and pick it up and move it, you're disturbing the bottom. So you want to be extremely careful. So I developed a clamping system, patent pending, and so the clamping system works really well. So we can clamp it on areas and wrecks and all the rest of it, but also use it as a base if I don't want to clamp on anything brittle. Same thing with the Gorilla Pods. I don't use those that often because it just doesn't work for me, because it always ends up being in the wrong place that I want the light to be. And sometimes the things that don't work, right? So this is up in the Temple of Doom in Palau. So my buoyancy skills weren't that great on that day, and it was a 30-second exposure. So it just looks like someone probably without their glasses. There we go. Yeah. So you just got to, that's why in a lot of the images, what you'll see is I will I'll get it's like a little 1200 lumen pencil light for my modeling light, and I'll just sit there and I'll hold on to something, and then I'll just try to stay still as I can for about 5 minutes. Okay, that's my time off. So, so now processing is a big thing, and up until today, only one person I've ever told how to do this, and you saw one of those exceptional images in Simon's presentation before, and obviously typical him. I show him once, and he comes up with better images than I could have ever had. So awesome. So processing. So in this is the shot here of Heaven's Gate in Nohochna in Mexico. So this is a massive, expansive area. Probably, I would say, maybe a little bit smaller than the room that we're in now. So it was impossible for me to take one landscape image. So I ended up taking 3 sets of portrait images, and I kind of like Mr. Beaned it, where like each portrait image, what I'd do is I would set the intervalometer on, and I would light paint, and each one, which is a vertical image, normally I think about 8 images, which I would layer together. And then after I've layered each of those images, those vertical portrait images, then I would stitch them together. So again, do that on the other side, and then all I'll just do is I'll cut the frame, and that's what the finished product is. So like now, if you actually look closely, all right, any conspiracy theorists here thinking that no one landed on the moon, all the shadows go in the different places. So if you have a look here, all right, time's up. All right, you can all go for a beer. The only thing that's missing is Are we still going? All right. Well, I think that's kind of me. All I was going to say on the end of this is the biggest thing here is just playing with light, having some fun. Eh? So this is the same spot, but again, like now, it's just looking at how your eye looks around the image. And the biggest compliment that anyone can ever give a photographer is dedicating time to that image. So if you look at an image and you're spending 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 seconds or a minute looking at that image, I think that's probably the biggest compliment that you can ever receive as a photographer. And again, like now, sometimes more light doesn't necessarily mean better. All right, so it's just figuring out how you want people's eye to navigate around the image. And to finish off with, this is probably what I would have considered out of those 3 images. So, and that's kind of me representing rust and wet rock. Thank you.